Freedom is a state of mind, and this man is living proof of that. He found a way to be free, even though his body was utterly trapped for 43 years. I'm headed to Louisiana to meet Albert Woodfox. He was imprisoned here in Angola State Penitentiary for most of his life. Originally convicted of armed robbery at age 18, he ended up in solitary confinement for longer than anyone else in American history.
Aha! Aha! Mr. Woodfox.
Freeman, welcome to my home.
Nice to meet you.
I would expect anyone who spends 4 decades in solitary to emerge with a broken soul and deadened mind. But Albert appears healthy and well-adjusted. I've come to find out how.
So, what got you in prison?
I was a predator in my own community. You know, a petty criminal, a person of the street. I was undisciplined, unmotivated and stuff. But my crime for going to prison was an armed robbery charge.
Did you go straight to Angola when you were convicted?
No, I actually escaped the very day I was sentenced to 50 years.
Okay. All right. You escaped, you're out for a little while.
Well, I went to New York.
You went to New York.
It was a defining moment in my life because while in Harlem, I had a up-close encounter with the Black Panther Party. I had always noticed a certain fear in African Americans, even those who defied their odds and achieved certain goals in life. For the first time in my life, where I seen black people, and I didn't see that fear, I didn't feel that fear. Talking about revolution and organizing the black community to protect the people, some of the sisters, and although they possessed outward beauty, it was the inner beauty that I was seeing. It was the strength, the determination, the sense of purpose. I was profoundly shocked when I realized that, hey, I am worth something. I do matter. I actually joined the Black Panther Party.
Okay.
But I got arrested again, and I was eventually extradited back to Louisiana. And after that, they shipped me to Angola in '71.
But it was an incident a year after his arrival in Angola that would change the course of Albert's life. A prison guard was found murdered.
April 17th, 1972, they found a correctional officer named Brent Miller murdered in one of the units. Each unit has 4 dormitories, and I was in the very last unit.
Even though Albert's unit was nowhere near the scene of the crime, prison authorities accused him of the murder.
Did they ever find out who did it?
Well, they could have. They had a bloody identifiable bloody fingerprint on the door. They had the fingerprints of every prisoner in Angola at that time. They could have found out who that fingerprint was for.
Albert believes he and 2 other inmates were framed because of their affiliation with the Black Panthers.
They labeled me a militant. During that time, a militant meant you was a Panther. I was placed in solitary confinement April 18, 1972, and I didn't get out of solitary confinement until February 19, 2016.
Albert and the other 2 inmates each spent decades in solitary confinement. They became known as the Angola Three. Human rights groups around the world declared their punishment cruel and inhumane.
Well, this room is a little bigger than the cell to give you some idea of the size of the cell we lived in solitary confinement. The cell is approximately, 9 feet long and 6 feet wide.
This is the length of it?
Yes.
Good Lord.
So you have a very narrow path that you can walk up and down the cell.
How much time you spend in this space?
23 hours out of the day.
23 hours every day.
Every day.
7 days a week.
7 days a week, 365 days a year. a living nightmare, filled with one horror after another. That's the only way I can describe prison. The strip search. Now that is one of the most humiliating experiences you could go through. And you have to stand before these people and stripped completely naked. And you have to, raise your genitals and you open your mouth, and this is what they used to do, our ancestors on slave blocks. And so we started resisting, we wouldn't do it. They would tell you strip and you refuse, and they'd beat you and tear your clothes off you and stuff, slam you down on the desk. I don't know how many times I got beat.
Albert's physical world was incredibly small and oppressive, but he refused to let his cage confine him.
That would seem to close the mind, Albert. Didn't close yours.
I never thought about being in the cell. My mind, emotions, and all that were beyond the confines of that cell. I said that if me dying in solitary confinement, become a better human being and to make those around me better, it would be worth it. I started trying to raise the level of conscience of the prisoners in the dormitory I lived in, educate, agitate, organize against prison corruption, prison brutality.
Albert had freed his mind, even though his body remained confined.
We are deeply disappointed that Mr. Woodfox will not be released today.
Twice Albert had his conviction overturned. Twice more, the state imposed new charges. Finally, government officials offered to release Albert if he pleaded no contest to lesser charges. On his 69th birthday, after 43 years and 10 months in solitary, Albert Woodfox became the last of the Angola Three to be released. Albert's body finally followed his mind to freedom. He's finally reunited with his family, and he gets to enjoy being a great-grandfather. He's also an advocate for prisoners' rights.
You were amazed at people who were black but not afraid. And I think part of your freedom while incarcerated is freedom from fear. Because if you had been afraid, you wouldn't have done any of that.
No, I don't think I could. Every time, I had to take a stand, and knowing that there would be some retribution, but still overcoming the fear, finding the strength to say, I still got to do this. I have to do this.
That's spelled C-O-U-R-A-G-E.
Thank you.
Albert Woodfox had 4 decades in solitary confinement to think about freedom. In prison, he learned to cast off the chains that bound him physically, found an inner freedom. Nelson Mandela said, to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. Something we must all strive for.